Before we dive into this shocking revelation, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because what you are about to witness will leave you speechless. The events of that night changed everything, and you will not want to miss a single detail. It all began in the quiet of the evening, when the city was bathed in the dim glow of streetlights. Dylan had requested a private meeting, one that no one knew about. Only Miles Wei had been informed, and to everyone's surprise, Bailu was invited, though she had no idea why. The location was undisclosed, a sleek, modern penthouse high above the city, with glass walls that overlooked the skyline like a silent witness to every secret. Bailu arrived first, her heart racing with a mixture of curiosity and unease. She had sensed tension between Dylan and Miles Wei for weeks, but she never imagined it would come to this. She stepped into the room, her heels clicking against the marble floor, and froze. Dylan was already there, leaning against the large window, looking out over the city, his expression unreadable. Miles Wei entered a moment later, his presence calm yet commanding. The air was thick with anticipation. Bailu's eyes darted between them, trying to decipher what was about to unfold. Neither spoke for several minutes, as if the weight of unspoken words had made sound impossible. Finally, Dylan turned, his gaze landing on Miles Wei. "We both know why we're here," he said, his voice low but firm. Miles nodded. "Yes. But we need her to hear it too," he replied, glancing at Bailu, whose eyes widened in surprise. She hadn't expected to be part of whatever this conversation was, yet here she was, standing at the edge of a revelation that would change everything she thought she knew. Dylan's voice dropped to a whisper, yet somehow it carried across the room. "We need to clear the air. No more secrets, no more pretending. Everything that has happened between us, between all three of us, must be said tonight." Bailu's heart thumped loudly in her chest. She could feel the tension radiating from both men, the kind of tension that had built up over months of jealousy, miscommunication, and hidden emotions. She had always suspected there was more between Dylan and Miles Wei than anyone realized, but hearing it now, seeing it unfold in front of her, was something entirely different. Miles Wei stepped closer, his eyes never leaving Dylan's. "We've both made mistakes," he admitted, "but we also both care. The question is whether we can be honest with each other without letting it destroy everything else." Dylan's jaw tightened. "Honesty is the only way forward. We owe that much to ourselves, and to her," he said, finally nodding toward Bailu. She swallowed hard, realizing that she was no longer just an observer. She was part of the equation, a witness to the truth that would unravel the fragile balance they had all maintained. For the next hour, the conversation unfolded like a storm. They spoke of misunderstandings, hidden feelings, moments of anger and regret. Dylan admitted things he had kept secret, moments when he had let fear guide his decisions. Miles Wei confessed the times he had felt powerless, frustrated by his inability to intervene, yet unwilling to overstep boundaries. Bailu listened, silent at first, then finally finding her voice as the truth became impossible to ignore. "You've both kept so much from me," Bailu said, her voice trembling, "and yet here I am, standing in the middle of all of it. I don't know whether to be angry or relieved." Dylan's eyes softened. "We wanted to protect you, but in the process, we only created more confusion." Miles Wei nodded. "We can't change the past, but we can decide what happens next. And we want you to be part of that decision." Bailu's mind raced. She had imagined this moment in countless ways, but nothing could have prepared her for the intensity of being in the same room with Dylan and Miles Wei, two people whose lives had intertwined with hers in ways she was only beginning to understand. The emotions were raw, unfiltered, and overwhelming. As the night deepened, the conversation shifted from accusations to understanding, from tension to reconciliation. Each word revealed layers of trust, vulnerability, and the unspoken bond that had always existed between them. Bailu realized that this meeting was more than just a discussion, it was a turning point. Something that could either break them apart forever or bind them together in ways no one had anticipated. The final moments were quiet, yet charged with an energy that left Bailu breathless. Dylan turned to her, his gaze intense but sincere. We can't promise it will be easy, but we can promise honesty. That's all we ask, honesty, from all of us. Miles Wei reached out, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. Whatever happens, we face it together, he said. Bailu exhaled, tears threatening to fall, realizing that what she had witnessed was nothing short of monumental. A secret meeting, a revelation of emotions, and the possibility of a future none of them had dared to imagine before. When she left the penthouse that night, the city lights blurred around her, but her heart was clearer than ever. She had seen the truth, felt the honesty, and understood that sometimes the most shocking moments were also the most freeing. The next day, social media exploded with speculation as fans tried to piece together what had happened. Rumors flew, clips leaked, and hashtags trended globally. But Bailu knew the truth. She had been there. She had seen it all. And she would never forget it. The tension in the penthouse didn't fade after the initial revelations. Dylan paced slowly across the room, his fingers brushing the cold glass window, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. Miles Wei stayed still, his jaw tight, watching every movement as though anticipating Dylan's next words. Bailu stood frozen in the center, her hands clasped nervously, unsure if she should speak or just let the storm pass. You don't understand, Dylan said finally, turning sharply to face both of them. This isn't just about me or Miles. It's bigger than any of us. Miles Wei's eyes narrowed. Then explain. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like secrets have been piling up for months, and we've all been left in the dark. Bailu's heart raced. She had seen hints before, small gestures and fleeting looks between the two men, but nothing compared to this charged atmosphere. The weight of everything unsaid pressed down on her chest, making each breath heavier than the last. Dylan took a deep breath. The project we've all been working on, it's at risk. And it's not just because of outside pressure. It's because of the lies we've told ourselves and each other. Miles, Bailu, you both deserve the truth. Miles took a step forward, voice calm but firm. Then give it. Stop hiding behind vague words and evasions. The room fell silent. Bailu could feel the air vibrating with unspoken emotions. And then Dylan spoke, the words tumbling out in a rush. I made choices thinking I was protecting everyone, but I ended up hurting the people I care about most. Miles, I know you felt betrayed. Bailu, I know you were confused. But none of it was your fault. It was mine. Miles's eyes softened slightly, though the tension didn't leave his shoulders. You mean to say, you're finally admitting what we've all suspected? Yes, Dylan said quietly. And I want us to fix this. Not just the project, but us. We can't keep pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Bailu's voice trembled as she finally stepped closer. You too. I don't know if I can trust either of you completely yet. But I need to know the truth, everything. No more hiding. Dylan and Miles exchanged a long glance, a silent understanding passing between them. For the first time, the tension between them softened into something fragile but real, the possibility of reconciliation, honesty, and maybe even friendship renewed. Miles took a deep breath and spoke to Bailu directly. You deserve to know everything we've been hiding. The rivalries, the misunderstandings, even the feelings we couldn't say aloud. From now on, there will be no more secrets. Bailu's eyes widened as the two men began to recount every hidden detail, from small miscommunications that had grown into months of tension, to the moments of vulnerability each had tried to hide. She listened, tears forming in her eyes, as the true depth of their struggles unfolded before her. Hours passed. The night outside deepened, but inside the penthouse, something shifted. The raw emotions, the honesty, and the shared understanding began to rebuild the fragile trust between them. Bailu realized that witnessing this meeting wasn't just shocking, it was transformative. She had seen the truth behind facades, the weight of hidden emotions, and the courage it took to finally confront them. By the time the first light of dawn crept across the skyline, the three of them stood together, not as enemies, not as rivals, but as people who had faced the storm and come out stronger. Dylan and Miles Wei had finally reconciled their differences, and Bailu had witnessed a level of honesty she never imagined possible. As they stepped out onto the balcony together, Bailu looked at the city below, feeling a strange sense of peace. "So this is what it takes," she whispered. "A secret meeting, a confrontation, and finally, the truth." Dylan smiled faintly. "Sometimes, the hardest moments lead to the clearest understanding." Miles nodded. "And sometimes, the people you trust the most are the ones you least expect to need." The camera would later catch Bailu's expression, a mixture of awe, relief, and newfound clarity, as she realized that some secrets, when finally revealed, don't destroy relationships, they transform them. If this shocking secret meeting left your heart racing, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The story doesn't end here, because when Dylan, Miles Wei, and Bailu's paths cross again, the next revelation will be even more mind-blowing. Don't miss a single moment of this dramatic journey.